Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into it.
Transmission oil plays a big role in the operation of the automatic transmission. Every car owner knows how important it is to use high-quality lubricants, as well as to monitor the condition of all components of the automatic transmission. The automatic transmission has a number of mechanical elements that require mandatory and high-quality lubrication. Of particular importance in providing lubrication is a special solenoid, which is actually responsible for the supply of transmission, lubricating oil to the automatic transmission system. Motorists should not only know what it is, but also be able to independently check the current state of the solenoid if necessary. What they are used for in the automatic transmission. The solenoid present in a car with an automatic transmission is a special solenoid control valve or regulator valve, which performs the tasks of timely opening and closing of a special channel for the supply of ATF lubricating oil. It is for the work of the oil channel of the box and are responsible for the car solenoids in the design of automatic transmission. If cars have an automatic transmission for gear shifting. In this case, the device functions due to commands received from the ECU, i.e., electronic control unit, which makes the solenoid an integral element of the car design. ECU continuously sends electric impulses with a certain required frequency. The solenoid monitors the pressure of lubricant on specific defined clutch links, performing quick shifting of speed or removes blockage. From the hydraulic transformers. A little more about what solenoids are in a car. You can also call them an element of controlling the operating modes of the automatic transmission. Structurally, there is nothing complicated in this device. It is a rod made of metal and wrapped with a special spiral through which a direct current flows. Inside this special rod is movable. Under the influence of the incoming current, this rod moves with the help of a spring from the end of the existing spiral to its beginning, thus timely closing or opening the flow of lubricating fluid. This design is used in modern automatic automobile boxes. Its main advantage is the possibility of automatic operation of the spring even in situations when there is a failure in the electrical supply of the car. The spring is a way to cut off the flow of oil. Having understood what the solenoid valve is for in the automatic transmission, it is not superfluous to know its location as well as to study the possible types of solenoids used. Location. In order for the car owner to be able to check the current state of the solenoid valve, that is, the solenoid, he should know about its location. In fact, it is not difficult to find the desired element. The device is located in the hydraulic block. It is also called the hydraulic valve plate. The solenoid is inserted directly into a special channel in the hydraulic unit itself, where it is connected to the unit by bolt fixing, or by means of a fixing clamping plate. The other end is daisy-chained or plugged, which allows connection to the control unit. The solenoid acts as an intermediary for the transmission of control signals between the existing electrical and hydraulic systems of the vehicle's automatic transmission. The functionality of the solenoid allows the two systems to be combined. Moreover, failures occur quite often in this combination, which are monitored by the ECU. In automatic transmissions, depending on the scheme used and the number of stages used in the automatic transmission, 4 or more solenoids can be used. It is important to take into account that the weak point of the car solenoid is its loop or cable connection to the electronic control unit. This forces motorists to replace these components with approximately the same frequency as the replacement of the solenoids themselves. Types. Buying a car with an automatic gearbox, it is not superfluous to ask about the type of solenoid used in the design. From this depends on what parts the driver will buy in the future for replacement. The automotive solenoid valve is available in several varieties. Each of them has its own principle of operation and certain distinctive characteristics. Therefore, it is worth knowing how this or that solenoid works and how different types of devices differ from each other. On-off. This is the first type of solenoid, which was developed specifically for automatic car transmissions. The device is characterized by a fairly uncomplicated factory design and almost as simple and elementary in many respects the principle of its operation. The solenoid only opened and simply closed the oil supply. The rod of the construction, being under the influence of the current, which passed through the winding, moved along the channel and performed the corresponding functions of opening and closing. Solenoid valve, considered one of the best solenoids of its time, which was a real technical breakthrough. In fact, such a solenoid acts as a hydraulic valve. Engineers created a separate special oil channel for the device, as well as a ball-type valve capable of opening and closing the channel. To disconnect the device from the electrical supply and hydraulic system, it is enough to disconnect a special plug. Such a solenoid appeared about 40 years ago, but it is still actively used on some cars of a separate representative class. Freeway. As the automobile industry was rapidly developing, solenoids operating on the simple on-off principle began to be gradually abandoned. Already in the 90s appeared devices three-way. This is a new generation of switch. When in the on position, the valve ball opened the fluid passage from channel 1 to channel 2. By switching to the off position, there is a transition from channel 2 to channel 3. This innovation made it possible to disengage and engage the friction clutch as needed with a single device. Solenoids. Already since the mid-90s, engineers again thought about the improvement of the solenoid and created a new type. Such solenoids regulators developed on the principle of a valve. Depending on the specific type of impulse coming from the ECU, the curved internal cross-section of the device opened and closed the lubricant flow. Here the electric current was supplied with a certain frequency and intervals. Such solenoids are separately categorized into ball solenoids, spool solenoids, three-way, four-way, and five-way. Read also, Hall sensor from A to Z regulator solenoids are generally categorized separately. The first to appear were solenoids that have a ball valve. They are called PWM. The development of modern control solenoids began with such devices. Somewhat later, another type appeared, which did not get much popularity and is now rare. Such solenoids are denoted as VBS. It is characterized by low sensitivity to supply pressure and works well at high lube oil pressure in the line. They are also often referred to as spool solenoids because they use a spool as the valve. There are also proportional solenoids. These are also known as linear solenoids. The design is made in such a way that the most vulnerable and fast-wearing element, which is the sleeve with holes, is located directly in the solenoid itself. The advantage of linear devices is that they prevent the need to replace the entire hydraulic plate if only the solenoid fails. This significantly extended the life of the hydraulic plate and also eliminated the problem of rapid channel wear. Nowadays, linear designs are actively used by manufacturers of Volvo, Toyota, and brands that are part of VAG. Then VFS solenoids were also introduced. The design was simple and cheap in terms of production. However, there is a certain difficulty in operation. These automotive solenoids are considered to be very capricious. Plus, the service life, compared to linear ones, is noticeably lower. Low weight and high pressure contribute to rapid wear. Gradually, the valve begins to change the degree of opening, and therefore the computer has to read and process information more difficult. To correctly change the mode of operation, based on the functional purpose of the used solenoids of automatic transmissions, another classification is distinguished. LPC or EPC solenoids. Control devices that go one of the first on the hydraulic plate. This solenoid valve is the key or main valve. It independently distributes oil to the other working solenoids and oil channels. If a four-stage EPC is used, the control solenoid is usually always the first to wear out. A solenoid specially designed to perform the most resource-intensive work of all other types of these devices. It acts on the torque converter clutch, which locks and engages, increasing the efficiency for special sport modes of automatic transmission operation. This element is the weakest on certain automotive torque converter units because hot and unfiltered oil flows through it. Shift solenoids or shiftovics act as switches. Structurally, the simplest device among analogs, which is responsible for the effective and timely automatic switching of the necessary gears in the box. Several such solenoids are located on the hydraulic plate of the automatic transmission. It is the shifters that are responsible for the correct shifting of gears up and down in the automobile automatic transmission. The variety of solenoids is really quite impressive. Therefore, the motorist should find out in advance which device is used specifically on his vehicle in the design of the automatic transmission. Understanding the essence and principle of operation of these solenoids, it will be much easier to understand the possible malfunctions, as well as independently check the condition of the solenoid in the automatic transmission as necessary. Characteristic malfunctions. A big and key role in the long-term performance of the solenoid plays a big and key role in the quality of the transmission oil itself. It is not necessary to buy the most expensive solenoids when replacing them, if at the same time low-grade lubricant will be poured into the automatic transmission. Therefore, the majority of malfunctions are related to the quality of oil. Several characteristic and most common problems can be distinguished. Solenoids often break and jam because of fouling, which is formed as a result of wear of various elements, consumables, and units of the automatic transmission. This paper, aluminum, steel, and bronze dust from carbon deposits clogs the element, not allowing it to work properly. And while the oil is cold, the solenoid copes well with its functions, but after warming up it starts to break. To solve this problem, it is necessary to perform the procedure of rinsing the solenoid. For this purpose, special washes, solvents, and cleaners are used. AC and solvent cleaning also effectively helps to cope with fouling. Leaks. These occur as a result of worn or broken manifolds, plungers, and other components. When PWM solenoids are used, one of them may become loose. The control unit reads this information, recognizes the weakened solenoid as a malfunction, and as a result, its load is redistributed to the other solenoids, causing a certain overload. This overloading allows for a slightly longer service life. However, the old solenoid still fails under the stress and hot oil, and soon needs to be completely replaced. By redistributing the load, the other solenoids are overloaded, and soon they fail. That is, the failure of one device starts a chain reaction. Also, often the motorist can face the problem of reduced elasticity on the spring, cracks in the housing, as well as a decrease in resistance on the winding. Most often the breakdown of the solenoid is due to component wear. Here the main focus is divided on plungers, balls, manifold, valves, and bushings. The plunger can become clogged with chips from worn parts and lubricating oil. At first there are difficulties with shifting, the solenoid starts to wedge. The amount of carbon deposits gradually increases, leading to valve and bushing failures. It is important to keep in mind that even the most reliable solenoids fail sooner or later. Studies clearly show that the most stable elements can last up to 400,000 kilometers. But in most cases, the figures are much more modest. Read also, gearshift paddles, what it is and how to use them. It is worth noting, and the fact that the developers have significantly simplified the design of modern solenoids, if compared with their predecessors. If earlier for the manufacture of the hydroblock used exclusively cast iron, then now aluminum is used for these purposes. But today's solenoids have become much more demanding to the quality of oil used for automatic transmissions. Previously, all kinds of low-quality fluids were poured into automatic transmissions, the characteristics of which were still sufficient for normal operation of the solenoid. Now, if you pour bad lubricant, the solenoid will begin to wedge quickly and eventually fail. The main task of a car owner is to change the oil in time. And although many car manufacturers claim that transmission fluid for their automatic transmissions is filled for the entire service life, this is not true. The oil will gradually accumulate particles from worn parts. The more they are, the higher the abrasive properties of the lubricant. As a result, the fluid designed to lubricate and extend the life of the automatic transmission elements begins to act like sandpaper, gradually destroying the structure from the inside. Like all other parts, the solenoids themselves suffer, as they are extremely demanding to the quality and purity of transmission oil. Checking and replacing solenoids. Some car owners themselves want to figure out how to check the solenoids in the automatic transmission for serviceability. Here you need to be careful. In certain cases, the work on troubleshooting is better to entrust to specialists. But first it should be understood that there are problems with the solenoid, and there really needs some intervention. There are several characteristic signs of wear and breakage of solenoids in the automatic transmission. They manifest themselves in the form of bumps, jolts, automatic transmission going into emergency mode, jerks when shifting gears, As soon as you notice when driving your vehicle with automatic transmission that the gear shifting is performed with jolts, this is a good argument to check the solenoid unit. If the pressure drops and is insufficient, the automatic transmission may run dry. This will bring the bushings much closer to wear. At the same time, vibrations will occur which can cause irreparable damage to the automatic transmission, including damage incompatible with repair. Only a complete replacement of the automatic transmission. To check the state of the solenoid, it is enough to use an ordinary ohmmeter or multimeter in the appropriate mode. A resistance check is performed, for which the valve contact should be supplied with a voltage of 12 V. If the solenoid is okay, you will hear a characteristic click when the voltage is applied. If there is no reaction, the solenoid is clogged or defective. By checking each of the solenoids in turn, you can easily identify the problematic element with your own hands and then replace it. If it is impossible to restore functionality by flushing. To clean the solenoid, you can use compressed air. Pressurized air is fed through the solenoid. If the element passes air, the solenoid can be reused. If not, it can only be replaced. Not all components of the automatic transmission oil system can be repaired. Therefore, it is recommended to find out in advance which solenoids are used in the vehicle and whether their construction is disassembled. The vast majority of modern solenoids are non-disassembling. Restoration of their performance is possible only with the help of purging or ultrasonic action. If your automatic transmission has a collapsible solenoid design, the winding itself must be replaced. The part can be washed in gasoline or other cleaner, then dried and reassembled. If the serviceability test of the reconditioned part is successful, it is returned back to the solenoid unit. It is not difficult to completely replace the solenoid when the test has shown a complete failure. To do this, you will need to check the manual for your car, find the solenoid block on the automatic transmission, remove it, and remove the faulty component. Further, being extremely careful and attentive, the solenoid is disconnected from the power supply on the detached from the automatic transmission hydroblock and removed. In its place, a similar element is installed, corresponding to the type of transmission. It is obligatory to use a new gasket under the solenoid. Usually the gasket is included with the part. If you don't want to buy a new solenoid because you are thinking of rebuilding an old one, you have to depend on the specific type of part. Older solenoids can be easily checked for resistance, washed, and cleaned with your own hands. Modern designs are more delicate and gentle and require a slightly different approach. It is optimal in such a situation to contact a service center where computer diagnostics will be carried out. After checking, it will be possible to read the error code of the electronic block. According to the code, masters decipher what exactly happened to the solenoid, whether it can be restored or better to replace it. Solenoids play an important role in the operation of the automatic transmission. Therefore, it is extremely necessary to be attentive to the operation of the automatic transmission. Listen to the process of automatic gear shifting if there are suspicions of malfunction. A failed solenoid has characteristic signs of breakage and wear, which allows an attentive driver to detect the malfunction in time and take appropriate measures to eliminate them. Do not delay cleaning or replacing the solenoid, because ignoring the problem can lead to even more serious negative consequences for your car and automatic transmission in particular. In conclusion, solenoids play a crucial role in the operation of an automatic transmission by controlling fluid flow and ensuring smooth gear shifts. By understanding their function and learning how to check them yourself, you can save time and money on diagnostics and repairs. Regular maintenance and early detection of issues can lead to a more reliable driving experience. Thank you for watching, and we hope you found this information helpful. Don't forget to subscribe for more automotive insights.